My name's Sam Albrow and I'm a student here at Queen Margaret University. The COVID-19 pandemic affected all aspects of our lives, including the mental health of university students.
In March 2020, in an effort to slow the virus, universities across the country were forced to close their doors. As classes moved online and social interactions were limited, students were faced with new challenges and stressors. Many people began to suffer from mental health issues, and those already suffering deteriorated further.
It comes as no surprise that young people and students were struggling before the pandemic. A study found that 1 in 4 felt lonely. Another study found that 87% of students felt anxious. 42% of students felt worried, and 44% of students turned to alcohol or drugs to combat stress.
I met with some students on campus to discuss their mental health during COVID and how they feel now, 3 years after the pandemic.
Hello there.
Hello.
How have you been feeling lately?
Hard question. I think it depends every day. It really is about, I feel like it's hard to gain a balance and hard to kind of understand when to stop, understand what is too much. So I feel like it really depends on the day. I don't think there's a correct answer for it.
Do you have any coping mechanisms that you use?
Well, I do a lot of yoga. Yoga is kind of like my safe space, I'd say. It's kind of hard to find coping mechanisms. I'd say I do a lot of meditation and journaling, so kind of more mindfulness things. I am learning to say no to things. So if I don't feel comfortable, I'm learning that it's okay to say no. And, you know, it's okay to think of yourself and not necessarily always pleasing others. But it's a work in progress, so.
Can you tell me any strategies that you have for maintaining your mental health and well-being?
Well, I do have like a therapist, so I think therapy is very important. Just kind of having that anchor to support you whenever you need help, because even just like a half an hour call can really help. Or even just friends supporting you, kind of letting them know like, hey, this week I've been noticing that I'm feeling not too good, just so you know, and kind of like, if this happens, then this is what you need to do, kind of things. Because I think also letting them know kind of opens up a bit that relationship, and it's also easier to kind of know that there is a support system very close to you, like physical touch. So yeah.
For you, the COVID-19 pandemic brought along a lot of stress and uncertainty for people. Can you tell me about how you kind of coped with that? Again, in the pandemic, did you have any different coping mechanisms? What were your kind of go-to ones, that kind of thing?
I'm not sure if I dealt with the pandemic the best way I could have dealt with it, because I think, well, both my parents work in healthcare, so it's a bit hard to kind of take a step back and being like, I don't want to hear all of this information. You kind of feel like you have to always be on board with everything that's happening, and you always have to, know what's happening. So I think it's kind of hard. I don't think I dealt with it the best way. I think I let all the information get to my head without me knowing, so feeling more stress about when I would get sick, being like, oh, did I get COVID? Is there something wrong? Or so yeah, I think it was a hard time, but some people say that it was good staying at home, so I think it depends.
How and where have you been able to kind of find sources of support and help to maintain your well-being during this time, if you have been able to find any?
I mean, for me, it's been therapy, really. I think it's hard to find a type of therapy that can suit you, because at first I tried, just kind of like the talking kind of therapy, and that maybe works for some people, but it didn't work for me. And so it's kind of like people don't educate you on the fact that there are different types of therapy that you can undergo and different things that can help you. So I think it really has been kind of informing myself on like what other types are there that could possibly work for me.
Would you say that your daily routine has kind of changed anything from pre-pandemic?
Yeah, so I've adopted like just getting up and actually doing stuff instead of being lying in bed all day, sitting inside, sitting on the sofa. Actually getting up and going and doing things has actually changed me for the better.
How did you connect with friends and family, that kind of thing?
So for the rest of the family that weren't as close as my other immediate family, we would have games night on Zoom and just try and interact with each other as much as possible. Again, going out and meeting for walks at the local area. The same with friends, we would meet up outside or FaceTime and just stay connected all together.
And can you tell me any strategies that you have for maintaining your mental health or well-being?
For maintaining my well-being and mental health, I spend time with friends. I actually stay busy and surround myself with people that I feel comfortable with and just do different activities and have fun. My big trigger would be social interactions still. So being in a big group of people, having to like socialise. Routines, again, have been kind of more organised. You kind of, after that pandemic, you were just like, you wanted to do everything in a short period of space and time. But now we have like planned every week what to do.
What would you say kind of COVID-19 and the pandemic, would you say that it's kind of affected you day to day? How has that affected you day to day kind of now? Has it had any long-term lasting effects?
I think just in general with the pandemic, I wouldn't say that my mental health was really like struggling or declining. It was more like concern for people that you love rather than for myself. Thankfully, like the uni was like taking a step back as well, so that was helpful. And I was lucky in being in a safe space and feeling comfortable, and we were still able to do things. So that was very helpful. I think like in general, people who dealt with COVID-19, there's been like a lot of tension regarding regulations and stuff like that because everybody was scared. And once we actually had a conversation about that in our flat, things were getting better. But that doesn't change any of the facts that there were still like very tensionous like atmospheres.
UCAS revealed after the pandemic that student declaration of mental health issues went up by 450% in the last decade. Student Minds found that 64% of students said that the pandemic had a negative effect on their mental health, and 43% of students said that they needed support to manage their own well-being. The COVID-19 pandemic has been a difficult and trying time for many of us, and as we begin to recover, it is important that we support each other in this healing process. This is particularly important for students who faced unique challenges, such as remote learning and isolation. I'd like to thank everybody who shared their experiences with us today. We can all play a role in supporting the mental health and well-being of students and our communities. One of the ways of doing this is actively reaching out to those around us and checking in on their well-being. By offering a listening ear and a kind word, we can make a real difference in someone's life. Additionally, we can also support students by acknowledging their struggles and validating their feelings. Together, we can overcome the challenges of the pandemic and we can emerge stronger as a community. If you or anybody you know is struggling, remember to talk to people that you trust. And if anybody you know is in immediate danger, phone 999 or call Samaritans on 116 123. Let's work together to create a supportive and inclusive environment where everybody feels safe and heard.